Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you how to add a company ownership graph visualization to a plain React application. So we're going to use the yFiles React company ownership component, which is an NPM module available on NPM and hosted on GitHub. So go to github.com/yworks/react yFiles company ownership to find the documentation about the package. So a prerequisite of this package is to, of course, have a React application, which I do have over here, which is just a very simple React application, which is hosted using BeatConf, but any React application should work. So a prerequisite is to have the yFiles for HTML generic graph drawing library available, which is what this component is using. So I downloaded yFiles for HTML already, which comes as a complete package with demos and all things. And there's this library folder and library development folder, which contains the NPM package of yFiles as a TGC file. So I'm just going to copy the path to that file. And in my application, where there is my React application with the React dependencies, I'm going to do an npm install of the yFiles TGC file. So this adds yFiles as a dependency to my application, which is required as a peer dependency. Let's also add the company ownership component itself. And now we have both components, and now we should be able to add it to our application. But let's take a look at the next steps. In order to get started, we need to register a license of yFiles. The license files itself is also part of the development evaluation package, and it's in the lib folder. There's this license JSON. Let's just copy it over to assets. Once it's in there, I can go to my application and just import the license data from the assets folder like this. I could also just paste in the JSON contents here, but I'm using this because I can now just pass in the values to this function register license, which is part of the company ownership NPM module. So I can just pass in license data, and this registers the license for yFiles for the React component to use. So let's switch back over to my application. Let's get rid of the hello world in here. And this is where we're going to put the component. And let's go back and see what else we have to do. We need to add the CSS style sheet. So let's just copy over that line so that we get the right colors for our diagram. And now what we can do is we go to our applications and do the company ownership diagram in here. There's still those red squigglies in here because we are missing the data that we want to visualize. So there's a property data that's missing. Let's just declare it over here, and let's put the data over here. And this is an empty JSON object. Tell the compiler that this should be the company ownership data. And for this to satisfy this contract, we need to declare the companies and connections in there. So these are two arrays which declare the companies that we want to see in our diagram, as well as the connections between these companies. So once we have done all this, we get to see this empty diagram over here. So of course, because there's no company declared, let's declare one. We need an ID. That's to identify the companies and to add connections in between them. And there's an optional property, which is a name string that I can pass it. So this is my company. And now I get to see the diagram for the first time. Let's go back to the example over here to get a more interesting example, let's just copy over the data from here and see whether that works. Save it. And here's our company organization chart. It's still not interactive. And the next thing you would need to do is to add interactivity to the diagram. So things like tooltips or context menus or custom stylings. Please take a look at the documentation and use the online live playgrounds to learn more about how to do this. Thanks and enjoy.